Welcome to the Brick Mortar Cloud Podcast, where we share scaling stories about F&B, retail, and anything brick and mortar. This podcast is brought to you by Stephanie and produced by Nick Chan. Today, we have Patrick from the Kitchen Haus Group to share more about his story scaling and his multiple business lines. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Hello, Jensen. Good to see you.
Can you share a little bit more about your journey?
Maybe I introduce myself first.
Yes, please.
I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Kitchen Haus Group. So we have 8 brands and we are predominantly in the OEM businesses. So what we do catering, we do hot food manufacturing, we do chilled, frozen, and we do have our pastry manufacturing as well. We also have our brands that we do urban farming. And last but not least, recently we started some kiosk concept, which we'll
Right. So apart from this catering business, OEM, farming, and as well as F&B, I also understand that you also serve in some of these organizations like ACAPS and all.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit more about some of these interactions as well?
Correct. So I'm the current president for Association of Catering Professionals Singapore. We call it ACAPS for short. So it has been an honor to serve the industry because to run the organization as a pro bono position, right, it's not easy because you need to voice up on the industry. So in fact, it takes a lot of pressure on my side, and of course, I need to juggle between my businesses and with this portfolio. So it has been almost a year, rather more than 1 year. So it has been a very rewarding journey so far because you get to know a lot of people and also get to work with a lot of stakeholders. I think for the benefit of the industry, for our caterers alike, we need to voice up for them and make sure that we create a lot of good content and good activities for them.
Right. So is it right to say that apart from the association as well as your other areas of business, the main business at this point of time or the bread and butter of your business is the catering side and the OEM central kitchen side of things?
Yes. Correct.
I see. Is that where you spend most of the time on in terms of your day-to-day?
Of course. I think that's my bread and butter business. I would say that I spend 80% of the time doing my businesses. So of course, right now I'm in a very privileged position where I'm not operational because I've started this business. I mean, I was a second gen. I mean, maybe I can share later. But throughout the years, I evolved my leadership to the point right now I'm not operational, and it's in very good. I need to like to highlight my team for having the position to do that. So usually day-to-day activities are not in charge, but I'm very much in charge of the business development as well as the new business sectors that we are in charge of.
Right. For me, I'm running only one business, and then I look like I'm old and bogged down and all already. But
don't say that.
There's something about you, about the energy that you have as well as the way you maintain like both your energy, composure, outlook and figure and looks and all. Is there a secret behind that? What is the secret behind that?
I think we talked behind the scene just now, right? I think I'm 45 this year. I think
2 kids, right?
Three
kids.
Girls.
Okay, 3 girls.
So I'm not as young as you think. But I think how do you maintain the youth and to become relevant is to mix with people like you guys. I would say that to learn to connect with youngsters, because as you go along, right, you get some sort of you feel obsolete. Right. Then over time, what I did is that I try to speak the same lingo, essentially going through their platforms that they go through, and being friends with the youngsters means that you are exposed to new trends as well. So it does help me in my businesses.
Right. You mentioned that you also started doing TikTok and all. Can you share a little bit of that journey as well?
All right. So I started this TikTok journey that was during pandemic. So I just tried with a simple dance and all this. Over time, I amassed more than 10,000 likes and more than 1,000 plus followers. I think nothing to shut off, but I think it's still something I consistently try to do. Right. So I have 3 channels right now. So one is my personal channel, and the other one I just started earlier this year because I thought to differentiate from my personal and my professional. Right. So I started a channel called Prof Patrick. I'm not professor, but I thought it was a cheesy name.
Funny, yeah.
Yeah. Then after which
Catchy.
I start to talk about some F&B related or entrepreneurship, how you start up business. I thought that was a sector that a lot of people don't really see.
Right.
But I try to be consistent, and usually I try to post 1 month, 2-3 times. Right. Yeah, so that's what I did.
That's super, man. Prof Patrick in the house. So, you're doing so many things. You're now also doing TikTok. You're also having multiple product lines. I do believe that you also did farming, right? You mentioned vertical high-tech farming and all.
Yes.
So maybe you can share a little bit more. What's actually the vision of whether is it your business or you right now? Like what is your plan? Because I think you have everything and doing everything at once. So maybe you can share more.
Farming one was something of a project that we did way back during pandemic where I had a chance to meet with my urban farming partners. It was a very good journey. But to be very honest with you, I stopped this partnership this year and we became strategic partners instead. So that gives us a bit of leeway to develop. But since the years of starting up the business together with my partner, right, it was enjoyable, right? And I would say that I learned a lot from the farming industry. So I started off with helping them to grow different kind of crops, even at home, then go to deployment at the farms. And then really was a real farmer for at least a week, one time a week, throughout around 6 to 1 years. So over time, I met a lot of farmers. I think even though the business didn't make it in the end, but I think the network that I developed with the local farmers and knowing that how local farming work and the farming industry as a whole, I think is invaluable.
So bringing back to your core business, right? Like catering business and all, I believe there's always synergies in all these additional projects that you're working on, right? The F&B will synergize with the kitchens, kitchens will synergize with supply chain, with farming and all. Can you share more about your vision actually? Like, what's that strategy that you're thinking a little bit about? So
I started this 13 years ago when I joined my parents' business. That was a singular brand, 2011, I remember, August 1st. I joined my parents' company called Team Catering. That was only one. Then over time, we had the opportunity to expand. So every time we expand, I was like thinking of a new brand and a new concept. So every kitchen I take one new brand. It was like a bit of if you think back, it makes yourself very trouble. Every new brand you want to do, you need to open website, Accra, bank account. It's really very tough. But when I look at it back, right, I would think I would go through the same path because it makes us very flexible. And from there on, right now we start to consolidate. We try not to open for the sake of opening. We try to consolidate. And we make ourselves very versatile. Right. So we serve quite a plethora of customers, ranging from, we have 4 catering brands. So we serve like mass market, we serve higher tier, we serve institutional catering.
Which are the one for which of them? Yeah.
Team Catering, the core brand will be the mass market.
Right.
And we are one of the market leaders in elderly care, catering, and student care. And the Rainbow started off as a wedding spin-off to do weddings and canapes and all this. But over time, through pandemic, we just went to like just slightly above mass market. We have a brand called The Essence doing institutional catering. We have 2 outlets. And we have a brand called Lavender Gourmet doing manufacturing. Right. Then of which this year we started another new brand called Lavender Gourmet Collective. It was a M&A with another company where we rebranded it. So Lavender Gourmet LG, Lavender Gourmet Collective LGC became a very close-knitted sister where they supply OEM services to customers. Right. So then after which we also started Sugar Bakes. That is a story in itself because one of my second partnership with my very good friends from church, a couple, husband and wife team, started to join me during pandemic and formed this brand called Sugar Bakes. And now, in 3 years now, we are poised for rapid growth, and we are serving a lot of B2B customers. If you look at our portfolio, I mean, you look at Menu Cup, you probably wouldn't recognize because we do a very little B2B, marketing. Right? Yeah. We are very B2B. Right. So we always poise ourselves as a one-stop, put yourself just one-stop powerhouse. Right. So we serve to many F&B customers.
Right. So I have 2 follow-up questions here that I'm very interested in, right? Yeah. So the first one is that you have also 2 B2C or like what we call retail outlets or F&B outlets that are out there.
It's still institution catering. So we're doing cafeteria services.
Okay. Yeah. So not really
B2C. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I always thought that if you have that, then I want to learn more about that synergy, right? And the central kitchen and everything. But then maybe you can share more on the lens of the OEM side of things, right? Because one of the things about scaling F&B is about supply chain, it's about quality, it's about cost, it's about reliability, right? So maybe you can share a little bit more about like what are some examples or, I mean, I don't know if there's NDA or what, right? But what are some examples of how restaurants or groups collaborate with your kitchen for OEM produce and what's a successful example of it?
Sure. So I think the genesis of this idea started maybe in 2019 when we started one of our first concept for manufacturing. Because before that we used to be bread and mortar caterers, food caterers. Then when we started the manufacturing, it get us thought that we can actually do more. So from there on, we started to have a manufacturing facility behind the scene of the catering company, that we can do manufacturing. So that started the first phase of my shift. So we started to cut vegetable centrally, buy in bulk and do our marination offsite.
Right.
So that started in 2019. So as we go along, then we found ample opportunities. A lot of F&B companies start to ask us for OEM services, not just the brick and mortar, the run-of-the-mill catering, hot food, like buffet, bento, not that. They say, I got a recipe that I would like you to help to do a product then with ample shelf life. So that becomes like the start point where we thought that we can do that. So we started a few projects over time. Then throughout the years, then we amassed a bit of customers. And when we opened our bigger kitchen this year under Lebanon Gourmet Collective, we 6,000 square feet of central kitchen space. We started to come in with automation,
right?
Thermoforming machine, very big blast freezers, fire racks, all automated. So, and the customer keep coming to ask us for such solution.
Right.
Yeah.
So specifically, right, when people look for you for such solution, what were they prioritizing for? Is it the shelf life? Is that like the main thing that say, hey, can I have something that's like super good shelf life? Or is it like, reliability, because I don't want to deal with like many chefs in my outlets, and I got 10 outlets, right? Or maybe consistency, right? Then all 10 the taste different, right? So like, what is the main priority that they
I would think it comes from an existential problem, means to say they have a manpower issue.
Okay.
I think now with the manpower pool getting very small and a lot of people not wanting to join F&B, it becomes a point where you cannot have too much, depending on too much skilled labor. Right. So if the chef today decide not to come, then that's it. Your day is gone and consistency is gone. Right. So this is one of the main problems because this is an issue in Singapore. Right. So this is one of the main problems. After which, when they found this, that they have a solution, and they can essentially trust a vendor to provide a OEM solution. That's where they come to us. After which, when they do that, they realize the consistency becomes very much better. Because against skilled labor that is dependent on your mood, right? Today you are happy,
more salt later,
it's not yes. So they have this problem also. So it becomes a second problem. Right. A second good point, consistency. Right. And when you have consistency and it comes with shelf life, because we freeze it, blast freeze, so that the
how long is the shelf life usually?
Usually frozen can be 6 months to 1 year. Okay. If you send to lab test, can be up to 1-2 years. Wow. But usually as a rule of thumb, 6 months good enough.
Yeah, it turns quite quickly, right?
Yes. And if it's chilled product, 5 to 7 days.
I see.
So when business owners faced with a possibility of a shelf life extension, most are very happy. Right. Because they can order in advance, order in bulk, right?
And reduce on wastage costs.
Precisely.
So you not only save on COGS, your wastage costs, you also save on labor costs.
Yes.
So actually it's really scalable for business. But a lot of people in the mind would think that, hey, if I OEM and ask you to make for me, then my recipe how? My rendang you take how? Yeah. How do you all then address some of these issues?
Usually when I talk to them, right, you always tell them your recipe only I can Google online. Right. Yeah. It's always the brand and person behind it, right? So I can have the best recipe, but if I don't have the brand and person behind it, it doesn't matter. Right. So, but for people who are still very sensitive on the recipe, usually we have an NDA.
Okay.
Then prior to that, we are still not in retail, so a lot of customers still trust us. Right. But we don't divulge easily because a lot of OEM customers don't want to let people know that they have OEM. Right. So, but to be frank, a lot of people, when they reach a critical mass, they want to have a central kitchen. But now, increasingly with the rising cost of goods and setup costs, right? A lot of them, even with 10 overloads, they don't really need. They can pay just a tad more just to have OEM services, but without have the overhead of running a central kitchen.
Because if you want to run a central kitchen, I saw a LinkedIn post that you posted recently, and there's a mini version, at least 600K, at least 1 million 7 digit, to at least do something, right? So at what scale? Let's be giving good advice to people. At what scale people should actually then think about central kitchen? At what scale they should not, because it's not worth it yet. They should consider OEM first. Do you have any advice on that as well?
You must take your central kitchen as one of your capex or your OPEX rather. You have to distribute over the number of outlets. Right. So if it makes sense, you are having very tip-top margins, right? Then if you're having like 30% margin, then a central kitchen for 5 outlets will make sense because you divide over 5.
Nobody got 30%
Impossible, right?
margin lah. This
Yeah,
F&B
so
scene.
so if it's 10% or less than 10, 5% at best, right? So if you ask me the magical number, 5, maybe if you hit 10 magical dual digit numbers, that will be the number to go.
I see. So we talk a lot about business and everything and like expansion and all. What about challenges? What are some challenges in what you're doing and scaling and in your journey so far?
I think the main challenge for me right now at my stage will be to find the right people to run the business. Because to be very frank, I am very have the privilege of doing my things at my time right now. I'm not operational, so I rely a lot on my middle management, which they are very strong. I'm very glad to have worked with them. So for me, is to groom the next generation of leaders to help me in many departments, so that I can continue to do as a CEO job for the company. So you ask me, the main challenge is to find human capital. So I think that's why manpower issue remains a very tough business, because I can say you can get the best business, but you don't have the right people to run. You can't succeed in that business, right?
For sure.
So it takes eternity to groom a lot of talent. So if you don't start, there's no way you can succeed in future. So I thought human capital is really very important.
Right. Assuming that you have good human capital and a good network of people to join you, then when you manage so many business, are you a metrical person? Are you like numbers driven KPI? Like, are you like what are you on that kind of thing?
Of course, I was a trained engineer. I graduated by NTU, so I was an engineer for 7 years before I joined my parents' company. So I learned to be methodological in my approach, and always I started off showing a lot of graphs internally. So all my managers and key staff during our money management meeting, they had to present a lot of graphs, and all with KPIs. So they are very like either there's a lot of metrics that we measure. Like
can you share some
retention rate.
top 3 that is maybe always talk about in meetings?
Of course, sales target.
Of course, 100%.
Then our yearly revenue, profit margin, and perhaps retention rate.
Retention rate, okay.
Yeah, we do measure in time at times, and we measure by different sectors. So blue collar, white collar. I mean.
Right. So when we look at like this kind of measurements and all, do you use any like products or tools or things to help you with getting more quantifiable data on the business heartbeat?
Currently, like for sales, quite straightforward. We have our ERP system. We just invested like end-to-end whole company wide ERP software. So that really helps, because it can churn out a lot of data, like your sales and your sectors, your customer sectors. So I look into that a lot, and our heads will know what to use that as a metric to grow their the sectors. Then aside from that, from manpower side, we also have our HR software as well. But I think increasingly we need to embark. That's why, Staff Annie is here.
Thank you for sharing about us.
Yeah.
So when you talk about that, how do you then decide when to scale such processes? Like, so for example, you have scaled from when you first supported your parents' business as one catering business, then you become 4, and then you have like so many business and stuff like that, right? When did you decide to invest in technology and innovation? Or is it like from the get-go, you have always been like, as long as there's good ROI, I'm gonna invest? I think
you have to be clear about your cash flow. So as good as technology is, it's only evident in the ROIs if you are able to use it. And of course, you have the cash flow to fund it. So very, very, very appreciative of EDG grants or Enterprise Singapore to help us to fund all this throughout the years. But we have been very like we only adopt when it's necessary.
100%. So like sometimes it's not about the money, right? It's also the whole like transformation. You have people to like work on it as a project, right?
Yes.
Then change process is a lot.
Correct. In central kitchen space, you do just 2 things. One is the hardware, one is the software. The hardware will be the equipments.
Chillers, blast freezers.
Maybe not that. The qualities, all this we are replacing with automated machine. But that's only how much you can do. And space constraint, cost aside, is about the people adopting. So over time, we are trying to do that. And over time, we are sustainably are trying to upgrade as we go along. So the other one is the software. Software will be like how you track your vehicle, where they are, the ERP software, some of the purchasing system, the logistic field, all this over time we upgrade. Right.
Do you have any then predictions about how the F&B landscape would change with this whole like innovation, AI, more partners like you guys? Like, how do you think F&B in Singapore will change?
Actually, as we speak, if you see the news just now, just a few minutes ago, Thailand just detected the first monkeypox. And a few days ago, it was in Philippines.
Okay.
So it's very close to us. And you know when it happens, COVID, right? It started off with Wuhan and all this, right? So it just casts a shrill in my spine then. So you never know how the industry will, or rather the whole landscape.
Right.
So you ask me if the whole landscape is that you always prepare for the worst but hope for the best.
Right.
So that's the mantra I always start. So in short is that we try to have a lot of when we do businesses, have a lot of consideration of the macroeconomic activity. That's why we have always been networking a lot. We know things happen sometimes even before it happens.
Right.
So when you craft a business, it's about tightening our purse string, trying to be sustainable, and you only grow when it's necessary.
Right.
And because you, as an entrepreneur, you need to be gung-ho at times, right? So you still have to trust some of your gut instincts. But other than that, you have to factor in several things. That's why being 45, having amassed a bit of, I mean, not much, but a bit of experience, it does count because whenever you make a decision, sometimes it's a bit more informed as opposed to when I was 20-something years old. When I don't have information. I don't have information to go. Now I have slightly some information more. I have more information, and it makes me a bit more justified to make certain decisions, whether you're investing in new kitchen, investing in new people, opening businesses, or going overseas, all this.
Right. One thing that we were talking offhand just now also is that you are also partnering with other people to, collaborate, invest, and all. What are some sectors that you are most excited about outside of your core business today?
Okay, I think we have never dabbled into B2C, like retail and all this. And no, not really true. In pandemic, I invested in a French restaurant and closed down in 1 year.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I mean, in businesses, you succeed and fail. Yeah, it's okay. I think it was a very good experience.
Right.
But just go to show that B2B, we are strong in CK and all, Central Kitchen and all this. I need not necessitate that I can be very good in B2C. It's a different ballgame and a different animal together. So, but you always linger in my mind because we have a CK ready and always have ample, like as we speak now, it's at night, right? My kitchen is all closed. Right. So there's an opportunity for us to produce something. Right. So I always wanted to go retail. But if you want to go alone, create a new brand, it's very hard, right? So in the last 4 businesses that I had, it was with partners. And with partners, it's easier to grow because you essentially have someone who has IP knowledge, the person who is one to run the business. Right. You just be a supporting strategic investor or sorts of central kitchen support that you can to grow the business. I think that's a win-win situation. Yeah.
So if anybody listening to the podcast interested in B2C side, you know who to look for, Prof. Patrick in the house. We're moving on to the final part of our podcast actually, which is about the quick fire questions. Ask you some series of questions. We try not to answer long one.
Right?
It'll be okay, but cannot answer too long. Cannot be like 5 paragraphs, right? So are you ready?
Okay.
Ready, yeah?
I'm ready.
So who is someone in the industry that you learn a lot from?
I saw this question. And you know him also, Vincent Pang. Very good mentor of me.
We learn a lot.
He's my previous president advisor. He's now my president advisor for ACAPS and the previous president. I think he's passed on a lot of things to me that I can take over easily. So I'm really thankful for him.
Right, we're also very thankful. I think Vincent spent some time with my co-founder Eugene and give us a lot of advice in our journey. So thank you,
legend.
Vincent. Really
thank
legend.
You, Vincent.
What is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you first started out your journey in F&B?
If you ask me that, I would think that I would maybe ask me to network earlier. I think I'm a late boomer because I started in 30 something, 32 maybe, perhaps. And I need someone to guide me earlier. To network more.
If your daughters would like to join you in this journey in operating, CKs and OEMs and kitchens and stuff like that, what advice will you give them?
Let them choose. I wouldn't want to force them because I think the gap is too far. Then just let them choose.
And then be happy. And if let's say you were to dine in one of your menus, right? I mean, you have many menus from affordable to premium affordable to luxury and even to, institution and all. What is your favorite dish out of your entire
If you know me well enough, you know I don't eat buffet food. I share my buffet food.
How is what's your favorite food in? Let's say you use that one dish only that you.
I can be very clear. I don't do very good chicken rice, but I love chicken rice. So like those Highlandish chicken rice, white one, right? But sometimes my kitchen do very well.
Right.
Yeah, so if you ask me, chicken rice.
So next time if we join you out for lunch, it will be chicken rice.
Correct.
How should people interested to follow your journey and your brand?
I think you can follow me at my LinkedIn. Yeah, of course I do have all my socials. I have my Facebook, Instagram standard,
Right.
LinkedIn. I'm very into it. As well, I started my TikTok channel. As I mentioned, I got three channels. And last but not least, I just started my Xiaohongshu.
Oh, Xiaohongshu as well.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
please catch up.
Right. And what's one final advice you like to give someone that's listening to our podcast?
I think for F&B, I also always on the journey to inspire budding F&B entrepreneurs, right? So like a lot of people say that if you want to let a person die earlier,
Start a restaurant.
Start a restaurant
Oh,
or
say
start
that.
F&B, right?
True.
Or you want to, 10 out of 10, maybe 9 will fail, right? But I think you need to dispel that. Because if you don't try, you never know.
Right.
But F&B is so easy to go in, but it's difficult to succeed.
Right.
So my advice would be that if you want to start early, you just have to start. Just give a first shot, try something. Then get a good mentor. And over time, do more networking. Spend like maybe 20 to 30% even at the initial stage to network.
Right.
Go out to meet people, learn. You will be surprised that you learn a lot of things rather than every day indulging in your everyday activities. Yeah.
Super. Actually, that's my final question I always ask my guests. Are they willing to offer a coffee session to one of our lucky listeners? So Patrick, are you willing to give some time to someone that's willing to learn?
Sure.
All right. So if you're interested, please reach out to us and we're more than happy to connect to Patrick. And Patrick, thank you so much for today's sharing. We learned so much.
Thank you.
And hopefully all the best for your business endeavors and hopefully invest in someone that listen in this podcast.
Right.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.